Hello, welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. We have another 3 stories for you today. Your problem is now my failure to plan. Insecurity. And orange apron store overshipped, now what? But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Alright, let's get started. Our first story. Your problem is now my failure to plan. So, I work in customer service in the automotive industry. As part of the services we offer guests, we perform a state-mandated car inspection so people can register their cars with the state. It's a simple process that can take about 15 minutes if you book an appointment with us. But every month we get flooded with people who forgot to do the inspection on the last week of each month. It is a mad dash for last-minute appointments to fit people in before they're late. Now, we don't make money off this type of service. In fact, it's a state set fee, and we realistically lose money doing these inspections on labor cost. I preface this to state that doing these state inspections does not benefit my shop, but we do it because it helps our customers. The front door opens to a male Karen coming in on a Friday afternoon, midday. This distinguished gentleman, we'll call him Tim, walks in at around 1 p.m. in the afternoon and slaps his keys on the countertop, informing my front desk teammate that he needs an inspection now. Now understand that even though all of our appointments were booked up days ago, we will still bend over backwards to help someone out. We totally get that things don't always go according to plan in life, so we do what we can to help. That is, as long as you're a nice person. When you start trying to dictate how we're going to help you, that does not fly at my store. Tim decided that today he was going to do exactly that. We advised him to either wait almost 2 hours to try to work him into a slot as we processed our already scheduled appointments or book an appointment for him next week. Tim let us know that booking an appointment the following week after the deadline was not an option for him. But he's got time right now, so he's going to generously give us 2 hours of his time, and we need to figure out how to get him in. My front desk staff, who had previously dealt with him, stepped in to take over the conversation. Okay sir. We're happy to help. I'll get your keys out to the technician, you just have a seat and make yourself comfortable. Immediately, I walked the keys out to my technician with explicit instructions. I was explaining to my tech that Tim was acting like a dirty trash can be full of poop. I gave the express instruction that we would not even touch his vehicle until 2 hours had passed. Mind you, as Tim sits in the lobby stewing, I have the pleasure of servicing several other customers who set their appointments days ahead of time. 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, and even a 7 minutes inspection for an all-electric car. Things are flowing so smoothly for all of the people who did things the right way, and it's showing on Tim's face. After the first hour, Tim finally has the courage to speak up. I really appreciate y'all trying to work me in, but do you know how long it's going to be? No Tim, you don't get to be nice now and try to expedite your vehicle. You don't get to be nasty to my staff and still get your way. Sorry Tim, we're still trying to fit it in, like I said, about 2 hours before we can see the truck. Mind you, the lobby's totally empty and all customers have already been served early. It's perfect. Fast forward another hour in his multiple attempts to make small talk to amend his horrible manners and treatment of one of my staffers. And his car's finally being brought into the shop bays. Then, moments later, my technician walks into the lobby with a giddy smile. Boss, his truck needs wipers to pass inspection. They're torn and failed the vehicle. Passing on this wonderful news to Tim, he agrees to have the tech install some because he, of course, did not bring any of his own. At this point, I feel quite satisfied that Tim's learned his lesson with a little additional help from the universe in his need to also replace wiper blades. But apparently, the universe was not quite done teaching Tim a lesson. His car still failed the inspection. The last part of the test is run by a computer that reads the internal control modules of the car. It's a totally automated process that can't be tampered with or affected by the inspector. The only thing that could interfere is if the cars had the battery replaced and those control modules have been reset. But that's exactly what Tim did. Hours before coming to see me, he replaced the battery and cleared those exact modules. So, at the end of the day, Tim was his own worst enemy and failed his own car. I have to book an appointment for the following week. But with a little help from the universe, he hopefully learned a very valuable lesson, that service workers are not your slaves. And always tip your waiters. Dirty trash cans full of poop need to have their cars inspected. I waited to the last possible moment and was forced to wait over 2 hours to get seen. Then his car still failed inspection due to his own doing. Your failure to plan does not constitute an emergency on my part. Our next story. Insecurity. I work at an airport as a law enforcement agent. One morning, at roughly 4 a.m., me and my colleague were on our way to an arriving flight. We got to security and were ready to pass. Mind you, we must pass through the metal detector, but we are not to be inspected. We can carry anything we need to do our job, and we carry weapons, etc. So we will always set off the alarm. We have a special pass that'll allow us clearance. We don't need that pass to carry it, just to go through security. As we approach security, I realize I've left my pass in my jacket in my locker. The flight was leaving at any moment. So I decided to dodge the bullet and go through and be inspected. That did not sit well with the guard, and he was like, "You can't go through the detector like this. And you can't use the security procedure. No pass, then no passage." Finally, he got me and had the power. Basically, it forced me to go back and be late. Then it dawned on me. I stood in front of the guard and 1 foot away from the detector. I took off all my gear, emptied my pockets, etc. I gave everything to my colleague who did bring her pass. I went through the detector as clean as possible. No alarms. My colleague handed me my stuff 1 foot after the detector. I put everything back on and, with the biggest smile, I wished him a wonderful day. The expression on his face was priceless. We burst into laughter around the corner. I have other law enforcement credentials that grant me the legal right to carry whatever I need to do my job. With it, I can demand access anywhere and take anything with me. Only at airport security do I need a special pass, a corporate pass if you like, to take my stuff. It'll just cover the area passing through the metal detector. I have an access card for the secured area at the airport. It just doesn't cover the materials I use. So back then, 2010-ish, I needed 3 cards: law enforcement creds, secure area pass, carry anything I need pass. They assimilated the last 2 into 1 these days. And our last story. Orange apron store overshipped, now what? Let me start by saying this may not be a perfect match for this sub, but I've got nowhere to put it. I tiled my entire home, save the bedrooms. I ordered a pallet and a half of the tile I liked. A few days later, I got a text from my lady. They only brought a pallet. The balance will come tomorrow from a different distribution center. Cool. The next day, I am at work and get another text. They just delivered another pallet and a half. How much did you order? I am laughing it off, assuming they will want the extra pallet back. I called the store's CS desk, advised them of the overdue delivery, and soon thereafter, the DC called me to advise that someone will come get it in a few days. I had nothing in a few days, so I called the DC again. "Thank you, sir. We are aware of the situation." Another week goes by and still nothing. One more call to the DC. The same woman simply thanked me for the follow-up. After 2 weeks, I still can't fit my car into my driveway. Now, I am not complying with anything, but it's pretty malicious. I hand-loaded the pallet into my little truck, very heavy, and drove to the store. I told the young woman at the return desk of the situation. I had intended to simply give it back because I hadn't paid for it. She stated that wasn't possible. Her only path was to accept a return and refund the money. Okay. I got my tile for 1/3 the cost. I am guessing the DC didn't want to do the return because that would flag the dispatcher and get them in trouble. It's easier to pay me to go away. Have an amazing week, everyone. Well, that's all for this video. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.